With that, let's say hello to Jennifer Zeszut. Jennifer is the CEO of Beckon, a SaaS marketing intelligence platform created by and for marketers. Jennifer has been a marketing leader for most of her career at companies like eBay, P&G, and Cost Plus World Market. She was a trusted advisor to many more brands as head of strategy and analytics for Razorfish for many years. Prior to Beckon, Jennifer founded Scout Labs, a leading social media monitoring and analytics and engagement platform, and that sold to Lithium in 2010. She's been featured in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Fast Company, and TechCrunch, and she was invited to speak about entrepreneurship at the White House as part of President Barack Obama's Startup Initiative. Welcome and good morning, Jenny, and take it away.
Thank you, Bonnie. That was quite the intro. And thank you to everybody joining us this morning. I'm actually particularly excited to do this one because we talk with so many marketers, and while there is a clear desire to be more data-driven and a lot of interest in building out really powerful marketing insights via dashboards, there just feels that we hear all the time there's so many different players out there and everyone's kind of saying the same thing, but it seems like everybody does really different things. How do I think about it? So in the spirit of education, we're excited to see if we can bring some clarity to this situation and talk through this topic. So agenda this morning. We're going to walk through, obviously, high-level need, and I think we've come up with a pretty good analogy that we want to use today to help educate around what it really takes to build a dashboard. And the purpose of this is to really give you guys some tools for self-assessment. What are you good at? What are you not good at? What do you need help with? What do you not need help with? Because the right answer of what's the right partner for you totally depends on your strengths. The strengths and weaknesses of your team, strengths and weaknesses of your data. So we just really want to kind of tee that up and give some pros and cons of different categories of tools. We've even got a little decision tree to help you kind of think through what's the right partner for you based on this current state of your team, capabilities, and data. So that is what we're going to do today. And in terms, obviously, got to give a disclaimer. We are going to cover topics, and we're going to, list out the pros and cons of different types of tools. Beckon is a type of tool, and so we do have a horse in this race, so to speak. But for those of you, I'm wondering if can you guys see? I can't see my slide. Bonnie, can you see my slide?
I sure can. I see disclaimer. Now I see telling it like it is.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's not what I see. So we'll track along. So the disclaimer on this is that we do indeed have, Beckon as a platform does provide intelligence and insights to marketers. But for those of you who have joined us before for webcasts or if you've read our white papers, I think you know by now that we do come with a very educational perspective. And the truth is there's really no right answer on which partner to choose. It really depends on what you need in terms of partnership, and our goal is to educate. So we're going to jump right into content, but for those of you who don't know, we are a platform for marketing intelligence, and we ingest and bring in all of marketing's very often unstructured data across the both online and offline spectrum in order to ingest that into a system of record or a data hub. We manage that data for you and provide scorecards, dashboards, omni-channel trackers for campaign performance, even a more storytelling canvas that brings in rich media assets and those sorts of things, campaign calendars, and I'm covering this very quickly just because I want to get into the meat of things. And also you'll have context to even understand Beckon once we get through and talk through the different types of partners that are out there. But we do, and we are very proud and honored to be the trusted partner and advisor to many amazing brands who are really committed to building data-driven marketing centers of excellence, and we are proud to help them along that journey. So we're talking about dashboards. So most people already have something, some kind of tracker, something that's providing marketing insights currently, but a lot of people are looking for something better. And in the spirit of wanting to be more data-driven, it makes a lot of sense that a dashboard is a great place to start. In fact, this is a Forbes piece of data. There's some recent Gartner data as well. Their 2015 data-driven marketing survey just came out, and the numbers are pretty astounding as to how many people are, investing and doubling down on data-driven marketing. I think the percentage of marketing spend that is going towards analytics and marketing measurement was in 2013, I think it was 24%. That's up to 39% in 2015. That marketers expect to be spending 39% of their budget over the next 2 years on data-driven marketing and measurement and analytics. So you're not alone, for sure. And of course, you're doing this because you think that if we put in and we make smarter data-driven decisions, that's going to improve our performance. The important caveat to all of this is the other part of this data, which says that, and this is a Gartner stat, less than 10% of businesses that put in kind of BI or dashboarding tools have done the data governance necessary or have done it insufficiently to actually prevent terrible data inconsistencies that are adversely affecting the business. So I'm going to translate that into English, which is 90% of companies out there haven't done the data cleanup required to implement a dashboard so that they're making smart and good decisions. And as a result, 90% of companies are actually making decisions that hurt the business. So dashboards do not equal better performance. We've got to do it, and we've got to do it right. And so and I think that the temptation is to think that all we need is a pretty shiny dashboard, and you just turn on the tap and insights start to flow. Believe me, we're the first that would love if that were the case. But getting data, turning data into insights, just like turning on a faucet and having beautiful, clean drinking water flow from the tap is not the starting point. It's actually the ending point of a journey. And that's what the analogy or the metaphor that we want to walk through today, because I think it's pretty apt for what it takes to get insight out of data. So bear with us while we talk through this here. So making water safe to drink. Let's talk through how that water actually gets to your tap. Obviously, there's rain, there's snow, there's runoff, there's all that kind of stuff. Obviously, step one has got to be some kind of data collection where we are actually collecting. It might be muddy, there might be junk in it, who knows what's in that water, but we're collecting and amassing it from all over in whatever state it's in as it comes to us. Then there needs to be multiple steps of filtration and disinfection. This is where there's sedimentation, where we're filtering out sediment. Then we run through all kinds of sanitization processes and disinfection to actually get that into a clean water that begins to be safe for drinking. Step three is augmentation. Before it, we might add some little bit of fluoride to get it into the public drinking water. We might augment the water with vitamins or those sorts of things before it goes into storage tanks that are right here in my pipes or in my, right here at the tap, so that my final step is I turn the tap on and clean water flows, and I take baths, and I take showers, and I drink. And nobody gets sick because we've gone through this entire process and we've done all the steps necessary to get clean water to come out the other end. So the analogy here is a right and I think pretty apt one, which is the same steps are really required to get insight out of data. So we're going to need to take in the data in whatever messy state it's going to be in. We need to cleanse. We need to normalize. Very often we need to enrich the data in order to get the right insights to pop out the other end. We do have to store that data in a flexible way so that it's available to the organization. And then unlike just a faucet, I guess you could think of it as report design being like, selecting your faucet and your nozzles, but then actually turning on the tap and actually having access to these insights throughout the organization. It's very similar. So we're going to talk through making data safe for marketers, and really it's how to get intelligence to your team to actually become data-driven marketers. And the key is that we don't want to flow messy, unstructured, or bad data to teams. That's similar to, you don't want to just have fetid water flowing to everybody in a village. We got to clean this up before it goes to everyone. So data intake, cleansing and normalization, enrichment, storage, report design, and visualization are going to be the same key steps that are required, and there's really no skipping steps. So these are the big ones for data and to turn data into insight for marketing. And what we want to do is kind of break that. If those are the stages, stage 1 through 6, really we're going to kind of bucket them to talk about stages 1 through 4 as being data management. So we got to ingest data, we got to cleanse the data, we got to work kind of below the waterline or behind the walls in this metaphor. Storing the data, it's all of the readying of the data and getting it in a state to be analyzed and to run analytics and to run reports and dashboards. And then there's step 5 and 6 around report design and visualization, and that's kind of those are things that are on the side of the wall that everyone can see and is very public facing that you're going to be using. And we want to walk through 4 big buckets of categories of partners that exist out there. We're going to talk about spreadsheets. We're going to talk about data viz tools, data visualization tools. We're going to talk about BI tools, business intelligence tools, and we're going to talk about marketing intelligence or MI tools. Those are the 4 big categories of types of partners. And we're just going to talk through who does which parts of this process. What do they do well? What do they not do well? Because if they don't do something well, then your team or some other part of your team or process or another tool set needs to be available to do that piece in the process. Because, as I said, unfortunately, there's no skipping steps. So for everyone's tracking, let's go through this. Let's talk through the different partner options and talk a little bit about what they do and what they don't do, what they're good at. I had to put spreadsheets in here. It's not necessarily a partner, but most likely everyone on this call has some set of spreadsheets or Google Docs or Excel or whatever it is that holds a lot of marketing data. Most of us know, and you're probably on this call for a reason, which is there's some good things about that. It's ubiquitous. Everyone's got it. It's kind of free. It's all on our laptops, all of those good things. But there's some huge cons to spreadsheets. One, most of you know this, is using spreadsheets as a data storage mechanism starts to become problematic very quickly. Spreadsheets get big fast. And they start to get funky. They don't open. We have spreadsheets sent to us that crash people's laptops and computers. They start to get so big that you can't email them around anymore. They're not designed to be complex data storage hubs, and so that's where they start to break down really quickly with big data sets, which marketing almost always has. They're very brittle, as you probably know. There'll be the macro breaks or something like that, or tracing macros back to see where some cell is pulled from becomes really difficult and really hard. The other thing is collaborating around spreadsheets. Sometimes if someone has built up a process around it, where they take this number and they divide it by 7 and they eyeball this and then they average this and they come up with this, it's very hard to recreate some of these formulas. So it becomes difficult to use a spreadsheet as a source of truth. Obviously not good for collaboration, multiple people working on spreadsheets get problematic very fast. So I think most of us know what those problems are, but it's worth putting on here, and I don't mean to put X's across everything, but what we want to do is we want to put a checkbox, a green checkbox in the column if this type of partner or tool natively supports that step in the process. And the truth is, with a spreadsheet, you're the one who needs to ingest all the data. You're the one who's got to fix and clean and normalize. You're going to need to enrich or add or create formulas out of data. You're going to need to find a better storage, a way to actually store this data. And you're also going to need to come up with the right report designs and the charts and graphs. So that's the way that we're going to kind of talk through these things. So now jumping ahead to data viz tools, or also called data exploration tools. Tableau, Domo, these are great examples of really good visualization tools. And they are, the way that these work is that you can really upload really any structured data set. A lot of times, even a Tableau or something, we'll call it snapshots of data. So any user can upload any structured set of data, as long as it's in rows or columns and it's got headers. Data visualization tools will give you a huge menu of options on ways to visualize that data. And the pros are a wonderful, amazing set of visualizations. You can create the flying donuts and the trending spider charts and huge amount ways, many ways to visualize that data within a data visualization tool. The downsides and the cons to this is they really are the faucet. They're the shiny faucet. You have to upload a clean, well-structured, and very well-organized data set. So it's going to be your team that gets that into the nice, neat rows and columns with all of the relevant metadata and structure to it before it gets into a data visualization tool. That's really needs to be your job if you're going to be using a data viz tool. These are designed, they're not designed for marketers, so while there may be a lot of choices in terms of visualization, their job is to be a bit of a Swiss Army knife to make sure that they can do data visualization of marketing, but also of finance data or operations data or HR data or sales data. So the guidance around how to set up or what the right reports are, what make the most sense for marketing, those are going to be harder to find in these tools. That would be something that your team should come with a strong point of view. And given that these are really focused around kind of snapshots of data, I can upload one data set into a Tableau and render and draw pretty pictures and create reports from it. And my colleague, Bonnie, can upload a totally different data set. And hers might say, views equals 117, and mine says views equals 295. Tableau doesn't know or care because it's not a storage mechanism. Its job is not to try to be a source of truth or a system of record for data storage. Because that's not what their strengths are. And actually many data viz tools are really for just that front-end visualization part. You can't even really export the data because it doesn't actually store it. It's just snapshots of data to render the pretty pictures. So a lot of these tools are starting to add in ETL toolkits that are extract, transformation, and loading tools to do some of that data management behind the scenes. But it really is do-it-yourself in the sense that if there are ETL toolkits, that's your team that is going to be manipulating spreadsheets or extracting things out of pivot tables and getting them into structured rows and columns so that you can upload it into Tableau. The other thing that's happening is a lot of these data viz tools are starting to partner. I know Tableau recently partnered with Burst because they do data storage pretty well. So you can piece together tools. You can buy an off-the-shelf ETL toolkit, which does the transformation and enrichment and normalization parts really well. You could use and buy a different tool like a Burst or another data store, or use your enterprise data warehouse as a data storage mechanism, and then you can bolt on the data visualization tool for the pretty pictures and the reporting parts of those. So, but its strength, the strength of a data viz tool is really around that final stage around actual data visualization. So BI platforms, otherwise known as business intelligence, listing a couple of examples there: Business Objects, MicroStrategy, and Click, these types of companies. BI tools, they are designed largely for IT teams who do centralized reporting for many, many functions. So they're designed for flexibility, and they do cover both the data management piece, which is ingesting data and pulling in and structuring and doing all of the data normalization and transformation pieces that are required to get reports and insights. And they also offer the data visualization piece of things as well. So the pros are that it is absolutely full service. It does both the data management side of the process as well as the reporting and visualization side of the process. The downside is if you are a marketing team and you are looking for marketing specific guidance or tools, that's not what these are designed for. So hopefully someone on your team is going to have a strong point of view about the right and best practice reports and analytics to run with this data. The other downside is only if you don't have a team in-house to use the ETL toolkits that BI tools provide. All of the BI tools are really DIY, do-it-yourself, in terms of doing the extraction, transformation, and loading parts of the data management process. So do make sure that you've got a team internally that are data architects, analysts, data scripters, and possibly some database engineers or data scientists to be able to work through and use the toolkits that are provided within a BI solution. But they do the data storage really well, and they do have, like data visualization, typically a pretty great data visualization array of choices in terms of chart types and report types, albeit not necessarily marketing specific. The one other thing I'll just say here on this, on number one, the data intake, we say structured data only because like data visualization tools, it does need to be metrics, numbers, rows, and columns in structured rows and columns. The BI tools are not typically a place where you're going to upload other types of marketing information or data. It could be Twitter streams or multimedia presentations or creative assets or any of those sorts of things. That's not the world of a BI tool. It's really meant for structured data sets and structured data sets only. So a marketing intelligence solution like Beckon, and there are others, an MI solution is similar to BI in that it does both data management and the reporting and visualization side, but it is focused on the marketer. So it's built for marketers specifically, and it does both the top below the waterline kinds of work around data management, and it also does the data visualization side of things. The benefits are that, as you can see, there's certainly metrics that are key to marketing, but sometimes why something is performing really depends on the creative that was ran or the multimedia, the videos that ran. Marketing solutions are going to allow you to embed even everything from Twitter streams to different types of multimedia assets. So it's not just the data, and it does allow you to do a bit more storytelling with the data, which is important for marketers when they go to tell a story of marketing performance. It's very often not just the numbers, but it's much more than that. So in the case of an MI solution, as we said, it's not just structured data. It can be other types of data that you can bring into the system. A tool, something like a Beckon, we take on the whole data management process. So it's not just a process that your team has to follow, and when you're done cleaning up your data, you upload it into Beckon. A tool like Beckon actually does the data management part as a service. And we're going to talk through that in a little more detail in just a second in a decision tree. But it does also store the data and create a data hub, which can be used to pipe that data into any other parts of the organization. And of course, a marketing intelligence solution, because it's built for marketers, it will have ad hoc report capabilities where you can just kind of play with data, visualize data, and do whatever you want. But it should also come with standard reports, analytics, and a reporting point of view around kind of industry best practice reports and analytics kind of out of the box. So it allows you to have a fast start with industry best practice reports and analytics that's for marketers. So those are some of the benefits that you're going to get from a marketing solution. So to summarize this up, it really boils down to a couple of things. What's the current state of your data? Because if you have beautiful, clean, structured, ready to go, fabulous data, you are so lucky you get to go faucet shopping and just look for a data viz tool and just let it, and you get to start playing with your data. But another question is how strong is your in-house data management capabilities? Because if you are choosing a partner that requires you to be doing the data management, the ongoing data management and extract and transformation and loading and enrichment required to get insight out of the platform, then you need to make sure that you've got those capabilities. And then finally, around whether your intelligence or reporting needs are indeed marketing specific. And we created a little decision tree for everyone here to actually think through. And so you can see that you can go through this, and starting on the left-hand side, you can ask yourself about your data governance. And if you've got great, clean, well-structured data sets and a kind of a single source of truth where everything is very well structured and tagged and consistent, then that's great. You are so lucky. And if you can say yes to that, then it's really a question of whether you have a marketing-specific need and you would like marketing-specific reports, suggestions, analytics, best practices, those sorts of things, then you might want to choose a marketing intelligence solution. But if you don't really, and you really have, whether it's not a marketing-specific need and you are a central, function like an IT that might want to use this same tool for HR reporting and many other different types of functional reporting, then a general data visualization partner would be a perfect choice for you. If you do have a marketing-specific need, a marketing intelligence partner might be a good choice. Following through that there, you can see that if you don't have good data governance to start, then the question really becomes, we can't skip a step. So someone's got to do that data cleanup. We definitely don't want to be piping bad, inconsistent, unstructured data to the organization to make bad decisions. So is this a capability that you have in-house? If so, and then we ask the question of whether you have a marketing-specific need or you don't. So I think this is helpful. I hope this is helpful. We'll probably get questions really quickly here as we get close to wrapping up, and we'll find out if it was helpful or not. So, so just, I think I summarized it there. But a general data viz partner is great if you have really good data management processes and you don't have marketing-specific analytics or reporting needs. A BI partner is a great choice if you have messy data and you do have an in-house team that's really strong and robust and can use, can write scripting and do data management internally, because it is pretty advanced toolkits typically which are required, or advanced skill sets which are required to use those toolkits, then a BI partner may be a great choice for you. And a marketing intelligence partner is probably better if you do need help with a data cleanup and you don't have a giant team, and either right now, maybe you will in the future, but at this time you want a partner for both the data management and data cleanup, as well as a point of view and industry best practice reporting and analytics. So we're not going to go through all of this in detail. I really want to make sure that we can get to questions quickly, but we do have also, of course, a guide, a question guide, so that when you go and talk to a partner, make sure that you're asking the right questions. So this is an asset that's available to everybody who's registered today. It's the top 40 questions to ask your prospective partners, but it's really going to run through each of these 6 steps. And I won't talk through all of them, but data intake, here's our key objective, and here's the types of questions that you should be asking each of them. Looks like all the numbering is weird here, so at least on my screen. So hopefully in the PDF version it'll be fine. There we go. That's some good numbering. But for each stage in the process, these are the key questions. Do you offer an ETL toolkit? Do I have to use it? Do you have to use it? Who does the transformation? Who does the enrichment? Do you provide common definitions? Is there a glossary? These are the kinds of questions that you should be asking of a potential partner to make sure that you get the partner that's right for you. So I hope this is useful. I expect it will be. And so we've got it all the way through all stages to report design as well as data visualization. So all of those should be included in in the resources that we provide to you, maybe as for download and or after this call. So given that context, I wanted to reintroduce Beckon. So now I can say Beckon is a marketing intelligence platform, and what that actually, hopefully now you know that means something. It means that we're built by marketers and we're built for marketers, and it means that we offer the full service data management side of things, where data management as a service, our team can actually do that data management, not only upload and onboard all of that data initially, but keep that data flowing, clean data flowing consistently, as well as industry best practice reports and data visualization recommendations. So that is what we were excited to cover. And so now you can see that as we talk about scorecards, whether it be scorecards, which is a very data-focused view of a way to understand marketing performance, or whether it's omni-channel dashboards or campaign scorecards, or a more multimedia storytelling canvas, so that we can bring to life marketing campaigns and what's working and why they're working. Even concepts like campaigns and looking at campaign calendars juxtaposed or set side by side next to performance data. Obviously, these are very marketing-specific constructs. Initiatives, campaigns, all of those things are in a marketing-specific tool like a Beckon that would be hard to replicate in a generic BI tool or a data visualization tool. So with that, we have both things. We've got the core 40 questions, which we talked through, and we also have all of these resources in terms of a decision tree and the tables and the checklists and the pros and the cons. All of this is listed in that white paper that's available to you all. So hopefully that has been useful and might give you some clarity about how to think about what your skills, internal skills, your data, state of your data, and your needs and needs for whether they're marketing specific or not. Hopefully this gives you some basis for decision making as you go and select your partner. So with that, I went a little over my 30 minutes, Bonnie, but pretty good, I think.
No worries. Yeah, that's not bad. That was moving. Thank you so much. And I do have some questions coming in here. The first of which, actually, first I'd like to just talk a little bit about resources. Lots of questions coming in about the deck. In the bottom of your screen, in the resources folder, it's a green folder, you'll see slides, a PDF of today's deck. So all of those 40 questions are in that, also in the deck. And you'll see the white paper, which includes all of the 40 questions. Okay, so those are available to you right now. We'll also, remind you of that in follow-up emails where you can get it, but you can also download them right now in the presentation manager. So let's go to some questions that have been coming in. I'm kind of going to go back in chronological order a little bit. This is kind of one of the first ones. You mentioned the term structured data a number of times. Do you mean by channel, by product, but what exactly does that mean, structured data?
Got it. Well, jumping back to, let's see if I can go back to one of our little tables here. The structured data, being able to, and the question of whether you have structured data or not is obviously a key question here. And what that means is, it means two things. One is structured data needs to be a structured data set would be something which already sits in nice, neat rows and columns in a flat data file. That would be a structured data set. So if it's in an Excel spreadsheet and it doesn't have multiple tabs and there are no, pivot tables around it, that is a very well-structured data set. The other question, though, about whether something is I guess it's more around the cleaning and normalization, is whether or not those things are all tagged in any consistent way. So if data comes in, ideally you have that tagged by channel. Ideally you want that tagged by campaign. You want it tagged by brand. You want it tagged by region. And all of that naming needs to be exactly the same, because it would be great. Very often people, just different tools name things differently. So out of Dart, they call it campaign ID 102357, but when your agency gives you their Excel spreadsheet, it has FIFA World Cup as the name on it, and those two things don't match. So if those two things don't match in the data, when you go and upload it into your reports, or you send this out to disseminate to the organization to make decisions, if those are actually the exact same thing, but they come through as two totally different campaigns just because the naming was different, you don't have good basis for decision making. So a structured data set would be something that comes in perfectly well structured, and the question is whether you, your team, want to do the work to get it into that perfectly structured data file that is in nice and neat in rows and columns and no pivots and no tabs and all of that for easy ingestion, and your team wants to do the work to make sure that everything, that the FIFA World Cups and the Cupo Mundos and Campaign AD 10357 are all cleaned and normalized in the exact same way, or if you want to outsource that and get the data, have somebody else take your data out of pivot tables and crazy structured, unstructured files and get that into a structured format, and you want someone to make the data and metadata consistent for you. So
you mentioned ETL as well, and so what you just said, would that be an ETL provider who would do that?
Yeah, so ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. And so yes, the extract, which means pull data out of underlying documents, transformation, which means take everything called Campaign ID 10357 and transform it into a display label named FIFA World Cup, and loading that into and pulling that into a structured data store, ETL. Though there are dedicated ETL providers, which if you have a data visualization tool and you just need help on the data management side, you can use an off-the-shelf ETL tool, or you could choose a partner that does that type of work. And as I said, some data visualization tools are starting to bundle ETL toolkits internally, but your team has to have the capabilities to actually be able to run it.
Great. I think that answers. We did get a couple of questions about, transformation, what is ETL, et cetera, and I think that answers them all. So I've got some Beckon-specific questions, and the first one is, tell us about the implementation process. What kind of time frame does it take to get something like Beckon up and running?
Well, I can answer for Beckon, but the question of getting something up and running, as I said, there's no skipping steps. So someone has to go through all of these steps and processes. The way that a BI tool works, or a business intelligence tool that's not marketing specific, is a blank slate. So to get something like that up and running, the first step is to define a data model, which means to articulate all the metrics that you want to have, to define all of the metrics, to say what you want to pull in, what's all in there, what is the metadata, what's the taxonomy, and to set it up from scratch. The benefits, and the only reason I'm going into this around timing, is the benefits of a marketing intelligence platform like Beckon is that the data model is already set up. Out of the box, there are thousands of metrics. We don't really care which email tool you happen to use, whether it's MailChimp or Responsus or whatever it is. Beckon is pre-configured to be able to ingest automatically whatever data you have. So we already have a data model and a data schema set up in a marketing-specific tool. And so connecting your particular data sets into a platform like Beckon is much faster because we've got thousands of metrics that already are defined. We have all of the key properties. We know that a cost per impression, a CPM number, we've got a definition already in Beckon. We know that its goal is to be minimized, not maximized, so that when we go to generate reports, it automatically knows whether it's red or green based on how that number is trending. All of those little attributes of every single metric in a system is already pre-configured in a marketing intelligence tool like a Beckon. So it does mean very fast time to onboard, and so some of our clients are up and running, 9 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is. Sometimes even a day or two, depending on the number of data sources that we're mapping into Beckon. But it should be days or weeks because we're not starting from scratch and building out that whole data model. There's a lot of speed and time to value benefits that come if, as I said, you have a marketing-specific use case and marketing-specific needs, then a marketing-specific platform can deliver very quickly.
That's a good segue into another set of questions here is what kind of data? So is there a difference between what a BI platform can take in the way of data and what an MI platform? And then there's a very specific question about data. I'm not sure I'm familiar with this, but somebody wants to know, would we take something like IBM Digital Analytics? Is that like an Omniture or something? And
right.
So just a little bit more digging into the data sources.
Sure, data sources for sure. So it's a great question, and it's a question you should be asking of every single partner that you talk to, because what type of data or what does the data have? How does the data need to be structured in order for you to receive or ingest the data? And so just like there are benefits to being marketing specific in terms of fast time to value or to have points of view built into the reports or standard reports that generate, there's also benefits to being marketing specific because a marketing specific or marketing intelligence tool can actually extract data from things that are not just Excel spreadsheets. So a lot of times marketing's data sets come in the form of a PDF. It might be a tool or a report that gets generated from a system, or it might be Nielsen, who infamously doesn't like to share its data in any very easily structured way, so it always sends it over in a PDF. As long as that data is generated from some kind of a system, Beckon specifically has the ability to extract that data from that PDF and get that into your structured data store and append all of the metadata. So there are some unique capabilities to different partners, and it's a great question to ask of do I need to give you only Excel spreadsheets or CSVs that are perfectly structured? Or can you take data in a slightly different format and to be able to ingest that for me? And the answer in the case of Beckon is that yes, we can extract it even from reports or system-generated reports from various tools that aren't very accessible to other tools. The question about specific types of data, that's another great one, which is many different, especially BI tools, and even some marketing intelligence tools only give you data connectors to a menu of options. So make sure that everything you need to run your analysis is on their menu of options. Beckon specifically designed this product to be able to take in and ingest data from any structured data set. So, IBM, whether it's WebSphere or, Unica or whatever the IBM tool might be, the answer is going to be yes, because I guarantee the simple question is, does it generate reports? If it generates reports, that data can be flowed into Beckon, even if there is not an API, a well-supported API, because so much of marketing's data doesn't have an API. There isn't an API to your PR firm. There isn't an API to lots of different tools. So we needed to be able to build a way to get that data in and give you a source of truth for all of your analysis, even the data that's harder to come by. So it's a great question.
So we have gone quite a bit over. We intended for this to be a 30-minute session. We're at 45. However, we still have quite a few people listening, so I think they're finding value here. So I have two more key questions that have come in, and I'm going to put those to you, and then I think we're going to wrap it up. The first one is, and this is just a follow-up to what you were just saying. If you could expand again, what do we mean by marketing-specific needs? How is marketing performance measured differently than business performance maybe, or how is marketing data different than other business data?
Yeah, perfect. That's a great question. So what we mean by and what the benefit is of having a marketing-specific view to this, there's actually benefits in many different ways. For example, even within within the data model, right? All of marketing, we call it the mapping of the marketing genome. Every metric that could come out of every channel is already mapped within Beckon to make it very fast to pull that data in. But there's also already pre-built into Beckon are marketing-specific or industry best practice ways that marketers tend to think about the data. So this is as far as formulas or analytics. It built into a marketing-specific solution might be, let's give an example, paid to earned media ratio. A paid to earned media ratio is a marketing industry best practice metric to assess whether or not a piece of content is really amplified and really resonating with customers. And the way that gets calculated is you look at your total and paid impressions, which are those which were generated by you. You bought those eyeballs. And you compare that to, and you create a ratio of that compared to the earned impressions, those impressions that you didn't buy, that you earned for free. Now, knowing whether a metric or an impression is paid or earned is absolutely something that you as a marketing someone on the data team within a marketing organization, you can write the specs and the requirements for that. But within a tool, a marketing-specific tool like Beckon knows that if we receive anything which is a metric of a retweet number, that automatically gets tagged as an earned media mention. If we see something which is, a promoted tweet, we automatically know that a promoted tweet is by definition a paid impression, and all of those metrics are going to get tagged paid, and they're all going to roll into a paid to earn media ratio, which might sit on your dashboard. So these are the kinds of things that, so it might be analytics. That's an example of a measure or a metric or an analytic or an analysis that is specific to marketing. The other things that are, can be specific to marketing might be things like, a buyer's journey scorecard. Yes, a scorecard could be used generically, absolutely, in operations, in HR, and in finance, and actually the Beckon scorecards are used in that way very often. But things like a buyer's journey scorecard, which really show how effective we are at moving customers through a journey with our brand, through to are we making them aware of us? Are they engaging with us? These are the kinds of things that out of the box that something like a marketing intelligence solution should be able to provide. And even things like a chart or a graph like this, which might sound simple, but it's a campaign calendar showing when things turned on and off, when competitive offers were running, when you were running different programs or key initiatives. The concept of a campaign that can be visualized in a Gantt chart is something which is very marketing specific and doesn't probably make as much sense for ops or sales or HR, and hence is not something which you'll find in a generic BI tool. So we do believe that there are industry best practice ways to be assessing the performance of campaigns that are both data, analytics, visualizations, charts, graphs, as well as kind of the storytelling components as well in terms of multimedia capabilities that you might want to incorporate. Finance,
Great.
the CFO doesn't very often include embedded pics or a tweet stream next to their when they file their S1 or their annual report. Marketers, however, if you're telling the story of marketing performance, you do need a rich storytelling canvas that might include multimedia. So that's just another extension of the need, additional and incremental capabilities required for a marketing specific performance view of things.
That actually is a great segue to the final question, which is, I suspect that the person who has asked this question is very interested in having a marketing intelligence tool, but their IT department needs to be convinced. So what would you say to my IT department for, like, I really don't want just a very general purpose tool? What is the argument to IT for marketing specific?
It's pretty, so a couple things. Number one, sales has Salesforce. They have their own tools. Finance has their own finance tools.
Right.
HR has customer success or has success factors or Workday, whatever they're using. Every functional area has function-specific tools which they manage, they run, they support. It's okay for marketing to have one too. That's number one. Number two is this doesn't need to replace them. There's no reason to get rid of your business objects or your MicroStrategy if that is used widely and broadly throughout the organization. It's important to explain to IT that marketing can have a system that sits alongside. This isn't a threat or a replacement to. And as a matter of fact, as long as the marketing tool that you choose, like a Beckon, has two things that need to be communicated. Number one, complete data portability. A platform like Beckon has been built with its own API out. Every piece of data that comes into Beckon and gets structured should absolutely flow out of Beckon into MicroStrategies or business objects or whatever other kind of corporate tools that you might have for dashboards. That's fine. It also could flow into data warehouse and actually augment IT's data store, data lake, or whatever it is to be used in many other places. So data portability is one key that when we talk to IT, they tend to think, oh no, not another analytical dead end and another data hub. And the answer is no, it can't be. You can't have that. So that's a key one. The second one is security and compliance. And Beckon is super proud to announce that we are SOC 2 compliant, which is the highest level of rigor and security standards around our processes, around our data. And that is going to be something that IT cares so much about. And so your MI partner that you choose needs to have enterprise class security methods and storage capabilities. And as long as you can prove those two things, data portability, enterprise class security, there should be no reason why marketing can't have and be the storytellers for and the storyteller for its own success. So we're pretty much veterans at answering that at this point, but it's a great question because it comes up very often.
Great. So guys, I think that's it. I am going to close it out now, and thank you guys for all of your questions. Remember that you've got some resources down there to download. This will also be available on demand within a few hours later today. It'll be available on demand at the same URL that you used to join us today. Lots of questions came in about those 40 questions. So remember, they're in the PDF of the deck. They're in the white paper as well. So thanks to all, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Bonnie.